Hey guys, so some of you may know that I posted a video called Order Out of Chaos a day or two ago, and it was all about the most basic principle of how this world works, which is that things run, or really the government runs, on making order out of chaos, or having chaos in the general population so that they can make rules, regulations, and orders, even to the extremes of going to war. Pearl Harbor, the bombing of Pearl Harbor, we knew about. We went to war over it. 9/11, same type of thing. It was a way to get into the Middle East. It was a tragedy, but it was convenient and perfectly strategic and just the type of tragedy needed to cause enough anger and volatile emotions in the population to have a totally supported, you know, um, war in Afghanistan and then throughout the Middle East. But I suddenly realized to myself, I said, Jack, this if you know this world isn't as bad as the news might make it seem, or that sometimes people in general might make it seem. We know there is negativity, there is darkness, there is hate, but there's also so much love and light and beauty. And sometimes that gets ignored. And I found that even in my own rant, I was ignoring the beauty. Because the beauty of it is that with order out of chaos, there are ways to resist this and to neutralize the chaos in your life so that you can take a step in neutralizing this age old strategy of governments and um, powers. And don't make no mistake, look up Order Out of Chaos. This is something that has been written about by many scholars. This is not a off the cuff conspiracy. This is not a intelligent, interesting observation. This is something that has been written about by people who study governments. It has been written about by people in governments. In Greece, when the governments were first being formed and kind of setting the foundations for how they are now, they all knew it was order out of chaos. And so that's why it works so well and why it's so ingrained in us and why we don't even see it, because we literally are bred in this world of order out of chaos. We expect the world to be chaotic and we expect to need to be protected by the government. But you can neutralize this. And I realized that I hadn't given any ways or examples or even talked about how you can do this, especially in the modern time. Um, and I want to, because I think that, it seems so hard to really make a change. You wake up to things, you wake up to ideas, you see the world differently. And a lot of people do now. Um, but it almost seems to cause more frustration in people. And yet nothing seems to change. And you wonder, how can things get better? And really, things can get better only starting with you. Because if enough people really change their outlook and the way they perceive the world will change. Because the world is the way it is right now. Because most people act and perceive it to be this way. Do you know what I mean? And it's literally that. The world is what it is right now because most people perceive it and act in it in such a way. And most people will never change that. Even those who wake up will wake up, but they'll put this awakening or this enlightenment of world affairs in a box almost above themselves. And they'll go to it from time to time, almost like a religion. I understand that's something to almost escape with, but they'll never actually implement the change necessary. And it's really not hard because ultimately, whatever you believe, however deep down the rabbit hole you go, it comes down to order out of chaos. And what you have to do is become aware that you can no longer be used as a pawn of the powers that be's methods of chaos. And that is all around you. So, for example, especially today, you know, the biggest thing that we have as a population to work on is compassion for our fellow human beings. And when I say this, I get told it sounds like fluff. And you know what? That's a sad statement. If you think that sounds like fluff, then that's a sad state to be in because it's not fluff. It's everything. And in fact, any social justice movements that have occurred have come from compassion for others. And most importantly, a group of humans knowing that this ostracized group is human just like them. You see what I mean? We have to find the connection between all of us, and that is that we are all human. And I don't care if it sounds like fluff because that's all we've got left. Because we are so divided in some ways. Um, we have, everyone has found their different group that they belong to. And I understand the need for this. I understand that if you are, you know, on the fringe, or if you don't belong, or if you've had a hard life because of you are black or because you are transgender, that you need to associate with this group heavily now. This title, this is you. You are transgender. You are black. You are Caucasian. You are American. You are Italian. No, you're human. We're all human. And at some point, we have to get to that realization. You know, we all know it, but it's like we ignore it. It's not enough. And I understand that's because there's different contexts, different cultures, and different people have gone through different things. But that's where compassion comes in. Every group now, every person has to find it within them compassion for their fellow man, no matter who that man is. And that's what we're not seeing right now. But the year of 2018 is all about unity, communication, and compassion. So I believe this will naturally occur. I really believe that. And that's a fun fact about the spiritual interpretation of 2018, is that this is when this will start to occur. And we desperately need it because right now we lack that. You see, we have feminism, we have the LGBT community. We have Antifa or Black Power movements. We have a rise in white supremacist groups, or so it's said. You know, we have the immigrant groups. You know, we seem to just have all these different groups of people, and you know, and the thing is, everyone's fighting for themselves. You know, women are out for women, and they don't like men, and they're not concerned with the blacks or the gays. And they may say they are, but ultimately it's about their group only. And the same with white people, and the same with black people, and the same with gay people. Everyone's in their own little niche group. So, although now we're so socially aware of all these different possible ways to be, and as great as that is, and as necessary as it is for this next step to even occur, we now need to fight the chaos of all these differing groups and warring identities with compassion for our fellow man. Compassion as a white person for what the black people have gone through. Realizing that it's only been about 50 years since they got all of their rights. That's not a long time. You know, white people act as if, oh, we gave them the right to vote and got rid of the Jim Crow laws and got rid of red tape. They need to forget it. But we have to understand that it's not been too long. You know, a black child's great grandmother or grandmother could still be feeling the effects of slavery and racism, you know? And as a white person, you have to have compassion and understanding for that, not impatience and detest. But now it flips, and this is the controversial statement. A black person may also have to have some form of compassion and ability to understand the white man, because ultimately we are all the same, and things haven't been fair for one group or the other. But ultimately, we have to come together, or else nothing will ever change. And that's why you have white supremacist groups popping up. That's why you have Black Lives Matter. That's why you have Antifa. Because we thought things changed, but they didn't change. Because it's order out of chaos, and we give in to the chaos. Same with feminism. You know, that's great. I think women should be equal to anyone. But women have to also understand that the key to true success and happiness as a whole world is not to bring the man down. It's to understand the man and to form a relationship with the man where we are equals. And the man has to understand the woman and see why she may feel put upon and why she needs power. We have to have compassion for each other now. We have to see the human in everyone, that mirror image. We're all human. We all suffer. We all may suffer differently. We all might suffer in different contexts. But everybody is ultimately of the same essence. And I'm going to use this example too, because I think it's a very interesting phenomenon now. Besides white supremacist groups, because that's a extreme, and that harkens back to the old South and a time which, luckily, I would hope is over. And that's why it's so extreme. Because when you hear about white supremacist groups, you think, well, I know racism still may exist, but not to that degree, where someone could be so emboldened. So I'm leaving that out for a second. I'm talking about this general feeling that I have got from white men that I have met, either a roommate or men at work, who are honestly very nice, straight men who are kind and understanding and open minded and smart, and they're not bigots, and they're not, I don't think sexists, not, and I hate to say it, but maybe they're as sexist as society may make you, but they're not especially sexist pigs. They have wives and daughters, and they're good people, and they're open-minded. They're not these conservatives who are in shock at the world, but they even feel now like they, as a white man, are put upon and made to feel guilty by minorities when they have never ever done anything personally to these minorities. And that is a valid feeling. Now, white people have privilege. This is true. It's good to be aware of your privilege, I think. You shouldn't feel guilty because of your privilege, but you should be aware if you're privileged. And in that way, you can understand those who are underprivileged and have compassion for them. So perhaps that is the issue too. But I'm noticing that, it's so divided socially that now everybody has one thing in common: the white man, the white woman, the black woman, the Muslim, the gay, the transgendered. Everybody has one, let's put it this way, two things in common. Two things in common. Everybody feels like they're shit on, and everybody is a human. So it's time to unite in these two common things. Because even the white man who has all of the, um, the benefits that we think society can give, even he feels alienated by the minorities who now see him for what he is, which he is not. These men are not responsible for the issues that these minorities have gone through. They're not. Now, there are people responsible. And if it's not an individual who literally hurts another person, if you're looking for someone responsible, you got to look up to the government, people in Congress, perhaps the president, but even higher. They are responsible. Not your lay white person or black person or Mexican or immigrant, whoever you blame, whatever side you're on. Okay? But here's the trick: order out of chaos. The trick is now not to say, wait, government is the ultimate to be blamed, and we have to hate them and fight them and detest them. Because that doesn't work either. See, that just feeds the order out of chaos. Because the more you resist and fight the law, the more the law will tighten around you. And the more it will become easy for you to be taken by the law, to be in trouble, to be accused. You see how order out of chaos always wins? Unless you stop acting into it, you need to neutralize it. You need to say, I will no longer act chaotically. I will no longer judge others and not like others because they are in a different group than me. You must realize that we are all human. You must realize that your enemy is also your mirror. Your enemy is a human. These people in government are human, or so we think. But for this discussion, we'll say they are human. And we don't know what they go through. And we don't know what stresses and crazy, intense shit they go through. It's not an excuse. This isn't about an excuse. See, this transcends an excuse. At this point, you don't need to think about an excuse because you're understanding what people are going through. And the minute you start to feel compassion and understand others, and you don't just let yourself wallow in your own self-pity as a poor, pathetic, whatever group or whatever group, and you throw away your label, you get rid of that label. That's the most freeing thing you can do, is to get rid of that label. Because you put that label on as a shield because you felt that you were so insecure in who you were, and you might have good reason. Your family didn't approve of you. They disowned you. So you put this, so you hide, and then you finally have the courage to come out and be who you are. And you put on your mask, and it has the label. And now you just become this label. But you forget your humanity and your connection with people of all types. And when you forget this, you succumb to chaos because you are easily offended by anything, because you don't like that person. Even on a subconscious level, you don't like that group. And see, it all feeds into itself. So what we can do to break this cycle is to just allow ourselves a moment to realize that no matter where we are human, and we are all bonded by the fact that we all share the beauty of being a human soul in this world, and that your enemy suffers the same as you. Your enemy feels the same type of anxieties. Might be different context. It might be um, their life might seem a lot easier, but I guarantee you, they still feel as you do. They get their heart broken like you, and they hate just like you. Understand? Just as you hate your enemy hates you. But to love thy enemy breaks that chain, breaks that energy body. So I hope I'm making sense. I feel that I am. Basically, what I'm saying is in an everyday life, allow yourself to not get swept up with the media and the news and the horrible atrocities that are covered constantly, because that feeds into the fear and the chaos. Allow yourself to think for yourself. Allow yourself to see others as humans, not as their group or their label, even if they insist on labeling themselves that way, because they are so much more than what they say they are. And you are so much more than one label, than an Italian or an American or a gay person or a black person. And that is not to be offensive. It's great to be all those things. But where does it get you when you're just fighting for your own type of person? What about everybody else? When will we understand what equality really means? Equality means that everyone is equal as a human. And that doesn't mean you abandon your your what makes you unique. That doesn't mean that at all. You still have what makes you unique, but you also can bask in what connects you to others, your humanity. And that is how you break order out of chaos, because you simply do not allow yourself to get caught up in the chaos and the bullshit and the nonsense of it all. And you think for yourself, and you speak wisely, and you treat others as you would like to be treated, and you treat others as human beings like you are, no matter what group they are, no matter what group you are. Even if you think that they are your enemy, you treat them with love, because then they are no longer your enemy, and they will no longer be able to perceive you as the enemy, because it's all dual, it's all a mirror. So when you treat someone like the enemy, they treat you like the enemy. That's what goes on. And that's what started this whole race issue anyway. White people had started it by treating black people like they were inferior. We did. And now we are, in a way, seen by them as inferior of soul and of consciousness, when we are all not, and they are not. So we have to break these stigmas that we have gathered from history so that we can move on to a better place. All of us. We are so much more than what our history tells us. We are so much more than this last 100 years. We are so much more than slavery and white supremacist bullshit ignorance. And we are so much more than a Republican and Democrats fighting. That is the chaos. That is the chaos. But that is the illusion. It is an illusion. And you break it. And when you break it, and you break it, and you break it, and I break it, And enough of us break it, it shatters, and it's no more. And now there is no chaos, and there is only order. There's no need for chaos. Humans don't need chaos to live a happy life. We've been made to feel that we do. We don't need order either to not be chaotic. We are perfect as we are, as humans. You have to give it a try. Let yourself transcend yourself. Break the coding, break the programming. Give it a try.